There's a lot of darkness at Jay's Geek House. There is no sunlight peeking through any of the curtains. It is the middle of the night, and I'm still up. Yeah, sounds like I've returned to my element with streaming. There is sound going out, though. I'm at least going to look at the level to make sure that is correct. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, a.k.a. MultimediaJay, just doing something here, and once it finishes processing, we'll switch it on or something. I have a couple of streams from both YouTube and Twitch that I have to switch on over on YouTube. So right now, the YouTube channel, I finished up the Geek House dark mode thing. So what's next for the YouTube channel? Let's get this back to manual focus here. I wish there was a firmware update for this camera so that I could actually, in some way, turn down the polling rate so it didn't constantly try to autofocus like that. If it did that like once every... If it was less sensitive, it'd be a much better camera than what it is. As it stands, I have to put things in manual focus. And fighting off indigestion because the house is almost out of food because I blew off the shopping because I knew we had Martin Luther King Day off. So probably everything I would normally get done on the weekend can probably get done on my day off. Yeah. So it's a rather bizarre setup that I've kind of got myself into with that vacation I took last week. Last week off, we worked tonight, and then we have Martin Luther King Day off. How that happened is I didn't know we would have MLK Day off until after I'd scheduled the time. Whoops. So it's just kind of a bizarre 9-to-5er type issue there, but whatever, man. At least I got to use up some of the time. One of my classic problems as in the offline world is I just plain work too hard. You know, I really get into what it is that I do, and sometimes that means not taking enough vacation time. And so the net effect of that is what you think it is. Not enough work-life balance, the hobbies grind to a halt, I may overwork myself and, get sore or something like that. So work-life balance is something I have to very consciously remember and try to push for. Speaking of which, this stream is very, well, on the spot. This stream is actually very on the spot right now, so we're going to, let's just fix a few things here. Turn on the down fan.
All right, turning on down fan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is running. Good. Have basically a noise floor. Not that I think that I'd be disturbing anybody at this hour anyways, but just in case, be on the safe side. So I have a couple of things to figure out. I've been streaming on Twitch because a lot of my discussions, even as hybrid streams, are very based on some stuff that's Twitch specific. Devin Nash did a video recently about how collabs are the new meta of Twitch, which I sharply disagreed with. I don't think Devin really listens to himself when he talks about stuff like that. Thought of some more things as well, such as the effect where you do a collab with somebody and people who like streamer A, even though they're on streamer B's stream, watch because and only because their favorite streamer is on the other person's stream. It doesn't really translate into new viewers all the time, although sometimes it does. That's how I got into KIRLs, is S-Fan Ginny, was watching S-Fan first, and I'm like, who's this Ginny? I didn't even understand her stream. I didn't understand why you'd want to IRL stream. And I'm like, how is this stuff popular in Korea? Then I actually learned a few things about how live streaming developed in Asia and educated myself, and now I understand it a lot more. And I watch enough of it that even Twitch has algorithms that are introducing me to more of these types of streamers. Not just in Korea either. Some American IRLs and things like that, folks like Jake and Bake, etc. It's interesting to see what the algorithms will send your way. Yeah, so it's a rather tiring night, but I can't call it a morning without thinking about a couple of things that I have to figure out this year. So first off, what's next for the YouTube channel? The overture for 2021 is what's next. But the big thing we got to do from a multi-platform perspective, we need to actually take a look at what's going to be on Twitch, what's going to be on YouTube, and what kind of stuff we're going to use for them. So recently I was introduced on the YouTube audio library to a new artist called Tracktribe. And I'm like, this sounds very familiar. I think I've heard this before. Are these people pastiching the style of other YTAL artists? I look it up. It's an org that's being run by YTAL artists. Otis McDonald, known for his hip-hop beats, is one of them as well. So there's also Silent Partner. I think his name is Bryce Goggin. And He's like, yeah, YouTube contacted him to make 400 songs to start the YouTube audio library. He said yes. It's his biography and whatnot. So they have Tracktribe set up. What I'm doing for this year is I'm contacting some of these artists whose Whitetail music I've used a lot to see if there's any way I can use their stuff on Twitch. So in the case of Slink, the answer is no. So I might back off on the Slink stuff, not because he said no, but because he said that he doesn't actually own the copyright for the music that he submitted to the Whitetail. Now this gets me interested, because one of the problems the YouTube audio library has is that there are people that are taking Whitetail tracks and reintroducing them to Content ID with different metadata, basically plagiarizing and passing off other people's work as their own. So this gets me wondering if there's a copyright disclaimer that says you're turning over the copyrights to YouTube by submitting to the Whitetail. So when YouTube isn't doing enough to stop this problem from happening, it really makes me wonder if maybe it really is a YouTube issue. I'm going to contact creator support and see if there's some kind of copyright thing that you have to sign off on in order and give up the copyright to the music that you submit to Whitetail. That may actually be incredibly important as to whether I even continue using the Whitetail or not, as opposed to a service like MonsterCat. Now, I tried MonsterCat Gold for a month with the whole MonsterCat affiliates thing. I decided to try it out before the offer got pulled. Never really got to check out the music very much. But one of the unique things about MonsterCat is that their music has a license across multiple platforms, so I could theoretically switch off to MonsterCat music, and I can use MonsterCat music on both platforms. So if I want to send videos back and forth, for example, have a YouTube version of a video and then send a Twitch version over later to see if the upload feature works or something like that. That's when I can use, that's where I could have use for music that has rights that are not tied to a specific platform. This is also one of the reasons why I don't use Twitch Soundtrack, because Twitch Soundtrack is only licensed for Twitch. And what's one of those things that everybody does? They send the audio over to YouTube afterwards. And although YouTube has a feature to inject Whitetail tracks via the cloud, I'm not so sure that I want to even bother with all those extra steps and then end up with two versions of videos on different platforms because of these asset permissions issues. So that's something I got to figure out. Latest inquiry is to Tracktribe to see if I get a similar response with Tracktribe. I wonder if DJ Williams has contact information as well. I'd be very interested to see what specifically the terms are. Or is this a situation where YouTube has not done their due diligence enough, and all these people that are getting Content ID flags for Whitetail tracks that are being resubmitted under different metadata, of which one of my favorite tracks from Slink was one of the latest victims of this. I'm wondering if this is YouTube not sticking up for themselves enough that is the reason for this kind of stuff. So that's really the thing. YouTube and Twitch have the tools to set up presences on both platforms, including evergreen stuff. Particularly if I put enough stuff on Twitch to where people start to know me as the kind of person where it's okay to watch VODs, as opposed to the stuff people are saying. The common thing over on Twitch is, oh yeah, there's no point in doing VODs or anything of that sort. So we got to figure that part of it out. So lots of things I got to figure out, which is why I'm just here to talk about it. So we have that to consider. We also have to consider with the whole situation with the new administration coming in America, as well as the recovery from the pandemic. Does that mean I should pick up where I left off before the pandemic with trying to do more with what I went to school for? Better paying jobs. I mean, we did get raises with the 9-to-5ers, but there's been some decisions made on a very high level that have me reconsidering whether I should stay involved with this company. Not anything anyone locally has done, but the senior leadership has me really wondering if there's about to be some, problems of some sort or whatnot. So I say, the best revenge against a bad job is to do well somewhere else. The idea of that is to not let yourself get defined by someone else's failures. If somebody screws something up, don't be moping about it for the rest of your life. See what you can do. You know, it's never over till it's over. It's probably one of the best things you can do in terms of keeping your head on straight, is to not let yourself get defined by someone else's failures. And so some of the things I've heard with the 9-to-5ers, particularly with the senior leadership, have me really thinking about that. But that's a very different discussion. Not really going to go into it too much. So music permissions, also what to do about MP4. So we know that MP4 is a very flaky format. Now, I can't access the tools right now in OBS. I can't access the recording tools, but I'm going to change back to the other format. I think it's locked out because I'm live. If I look at the output, hardware NVENC, so it'll record now in MKV, which is the default format, as opposed to MP4. I don't know what it is with MP4, but with the problems I've had with phantom syllables in videos, as well as, you know, I've had problems with audio and phantom syllables in AV sync in MP4. So I talk about the Canon camera, which I consider a waste of money right now. Thinking of replacing it with the, thinking of turning it into a B-roll camera. So if the audio gets screwed up, it probably is just footage with not supposed to have audio anyways. So we'll just do that. Then get a Sony camera, which records in AVC HD, which has been a far more stable format to use. And then we just got to figure out NVIDIA Shadowplay and everything else as well. I may just retire NVIDIA Shadowplay. I have an HDMI capture box, so I just got to double check the formats the Elgato can record in. But what I'm finding is that MP4 is very flaky the minute you start editing it. So once you are taking a clip and you're cutting it down or splitting it up or something like that, what you end up with is a situation where you'll have AV out of sync, or you'll have phantom syllables, which so I got them out of, that's one of the things that delayed the last Wacky World of MultimediaJay, was the phantom syllables that were in just about all of the footage. And I tried all kinds of tricks and whatnot. Bottom line, MP4 is not stable enough to really cut up and whatnot. I would have to convert it probably to AVC HD first, and then see if that worked coming off the other camera. So largely do a gigantic conversion of whatnot of the footage, or do one big long take and convert it afterwards. That's something I gotta, so many things to figure out for 2021. So music permissions, what's on Twitch, what's on YouTube, music permissions, what's on Twitch, what's on YouTube. And now we have to talk about 4K. 4K is something that I've found to be rather overrated. So I'm looking on Newegg right now. See, televisions. Don't know why I should probably turn off the humidifiers. I don't know why I'm having trouble breathing. Not COVID or anything. I think it's that the humidifiers are making things more humid than I'm used to, or I just ran around too much. I don't know. TV and video, televisions on Newegg. Let's do LED TV because OLED is the new technology. Looks amazing, costs a fortune. As it usually is. Let's look at the Samsung catalog on Newegg. See what we have available here. And let's sort by lowest price. And we'll start with some things here. All right. Let's get Newegg on the screen. We're actually going to use Microsoft. We're going to use Microsoft Edge for this and see if it auto links. Microsoft Edge. Interesting that it's not just, it's not just the other browsers that are having issues with this. So we got Newegg loaded up here. I'm trying to get everything in the right spot. Another thing I got to figure out too is slobs for YouTube streams. Can I get it to the point where I use slobs with Live Control Room the same way that I use regular OBS with Twitch's dashboard? Because what YouTube and Twitch both have in common right now is YouTube and Twitch have a bit of a problem where you can't do everything through the app. You can't do everything through OBS. So with Twitch, if you don't have your dashboard open, updating your stream information or changing the game isn't actually going to go through. And then on YouTube, YouTube has a bit of a problem with Teflon settings where the latency of the database updates and whatnot sometimes throws everything off when you're trying to change thumbnails and metadata before you start streaming. So routinely, especially thumbnails, it's very hard to get thumbnails to stick. So Slobs, Streamlabs OBS, actually has integration with YouTube, but I tested it the other night, and when I ended stream, it didn't end the stream on YouTube. So the only way to fix that is to use Live Control Room and use slobs as a way of getting around the Teflon nature of the metadata in order to stream on YouTube. But in this case, we're talking about starting over in terms of getting used to the UI of Streamlabs and knowing where everything is. So it's really a mess. But anyways, we're looking at TVs here because when I first started streaming and I started getting everything in order last year in terms of what I did what with what, one of the things I noticed, and I confirmed it with the dark mode experiment, is that jacking the brightness on the TV works better in terms of me just looking at a bright television with glasses, with sunglasses, of course. But jacking the brightness on the TV works better than having a ring light off to the side or something, because I can't stand having a glare in the corner of my eye in any direction. The only other option I have is to take more LED strips, make it like a makeup light on this thing, and just light up the edge of this, and then turn that down. But I think the big thing is just get a more efficient television in order to use it as a light. Well, I tried a couple different lighting configurations, and the Zoomy box worked okay. Looking at the footage afterwards, I could get the Zoomy box looking okay, but the problem with the Zoomy box is it turns on the minute I turn the computer on, so I don't want to stream every single time I turn the computer on. All right, I predicted that when I was using this as as a light, that jacking the backlight all the way up with all the heat it generates would cook the TV over time, and I was right. This TV now reminds me of some of the worst computers I've ever had. When it starts up from cold and it displays Windows for the first time, it routinely crashes inside the TV's hardware and reboots. And sometimes it makes this screeching noise as the audio glitches out during the HDMI handshaking process. I've already gone through and I've blown out the ports for HDMI, and I've alcoholed the contacts and the HDMI cables. The only thing I could do is alcohol everything up and blow out the ports on the graphics card, because I've done them on the TV side and it's not doing anything. So I could also buy some cables that are made for newer specifications of HDMI in advance of potentially getting a new TV. But let me just look at a listing for a 1080 television just to make sure, see what pops up on screen here. It's bizarre. I mean, I have incredible speed, but it loads like dial-up. You see chunks of the page load at once. Like, give me a break. All right, so here's the issue. 4K, yes, but I just, this is what I got to figure out. I think the best thing I can do right now is order cables, HDMI cables, that are made for the newest standard of HDMI. Because all of my HDMI cables are a couple of years old. They're made for older HDMI revisions, so I don't know if there might be issues. Some of them I have had issues with. I remember when I was first getting into Blu-ray, I went out and I bought an HDMI bargain pack at Target. Yeah, Target. Target off-brand, budget brand HDMI cables. And I actually ran into problems with displaying the image properly when playing PS3 because the HDMI standard was too old. So there are glitches galore, and I was getting artifacts and randomly blanking the screen and all kinds of other stuff. I look it up and like, it says your cable's too old. So either way, well, here's the Samsung catalog nowadays for potential replacements. This was a 37-inch Samsung 1080p LCD screen. So here's the thing. The power supply on the television might be flaking out or the capacitors might be drying up. I mean, this is a 12-year-old TV at this point. But it's the first display I've ever had this much trouble with after this amount of time. But I've been running it very consistently for the past over 10 years. So it's definitely an old and tired TV. I'm just waiting for the day when it doesn't start up at all after taking about 5 or 6. It's like a bad computer that keeps rebooting until the circuitry is warmed up, which I haven't seen since capacitor plague. So that's why I'm thinking recap the board on this thing. But here's the problem. If I recap this television, I'm polishing a turd. As good as this thing has been over its life and whatnot, it's a great TV, been a great TV. The problem with this TV is that it's an original LCD with the cold cathode backlight and everything. So it's the sort of thing where everything's gotten better, much better, since I've gotten this thing, to the point where I feel horrible still running it. This thing with the backlight all the way down is 100 watts. Jack it up like this and it's 200 watts, the equivalent of 2 incandescent bulbs. The problem is, in terms of replacing it with something more power efficient, like most every TV is nowadays, you don't want to do that because you're spending money you don't want to spend money to save money. If you run the numbers, running old, inefficient gear actually makes sense unless you know for certain that the gear you replace it with is going to last a very long time. You can run numbers on this in Excel and everything. So that's part of the problem with this, is that buying another television, it would take a long time to make up for the money that it costs to buy the TV. Of course, nowadays, you have a 32-inch television, Samsung, not off-brand, for $237 off of Newegg. Here's the thing. Let's get the 720s off the screen. I am not interested in 720s. Here's what's left of the 1080p catalog. So, I got to figure out, is my computer in a position to do 4K 60 or 4K 120? Because this 32-inch 2018 model is the last. This 32-inch model here is the final 1080p television. We could probably just shrink this down a bit. Let's see. Let's cut this down. Oh no, I just shrunk the overlays. Whoops. Now, let me see. Everything's wrong in OBS. Keeps because I don't have it centered. Yes, that might do it. So select that, and let's. Oh, now it's working correctly here. I just want to just blow up the. I want to blow up the details on these things, make it bigger. We'll just do things this way, and we could probably just go over to the side like. No, let's just do this. No, let's just bring it down to about here. Just make it a bit like this. I can get to snap on the top or the bottom, but not the middle, unless I am very, very careful with it. Samsung 32-inch N5300 Full HD. So this is the final 1080p TV in the catalog for $237. Problem is, what else is in the catalog at this price point? That's the thing. I mean, 4K has become such a mainstream thing. 50-inch 4K, $367. So when you consider I paid $800 for the 1080 60 TV I've been running into the ground. So here's a 50-inch 50-inch TU7000 Ultra HD. Here's 4K 50-inch 2020 current year model. Specifications. What does it do for hertz? 16 by 9, 120 hertz TV. So if I walk into Walmart, this is the sort of stuff I'm going to see. So basically, for less than half the cost of what I paid to go 1080 60 in 2008, you can go 4K 120. So now I got to ask myself, where does that put me with the hardware to go 4K 120? And how good are the upscalers and the downscalers these days? So here's the 43-inch version for $377 being sold through a third party versus $367 for a 50-inch. But if I'm going to a TV that huge, I have to redo my entire desk. My desk is made for a 37-inch, which comes out to roughly 40-inch. There's thinner bezels these days. So I'm looking for something around 40-inch in order to not have to move things too much. So then I have to ask myself, what's the update speed on it? Because one of the big things, one of the huge advantages that I've had with the Samsung screen that I've had for the last 12 years is I've basically been able to, let me just get out of Samsung entirely. I want to see what's available around the 40-inch, what's available at the 40-inch range. If Newegg will stop loading in chunks despite my really fast internet. Seriously, it's like dial-up. Off Bulva, TCL, JVC, Vizio, nobody really makes Nobody, $300 for 1080-60 from Vizio. No thanks. Samsung N5200 40-inch 1080-60 LED TV. $300, but it's sold through a third party. So, 2 HDMI ins, yeah. So it's not as robust. So I'm really in a jam when it comes to what happens when this TV finishes dying. Because there's nothing really... There's got to be something else that we got to figure out. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get new HDMI cables to support the most modern 4K TVs. Because most of the HDMI I have is from older standards of HDMI. A little too old. So we'll do the cables first, see if that fixes the problem with newer spec cables. Maybe that helps with the handshaking because the graphics card is very new. We also want to alcohol and clean out the connectors at the computer. So we'll want to blow the dust out and alcohol up the other side of the connectors. See if that fixes it. But I don't think it's going to fix the handshaking because it is very specific to when the TV... It is very, very specific to when the TV is cold. I mean, I can shut this off right now. Hope it doesn't crash the stream. Yeah, it just uninstalled. Where's my OBS? Ah, no, we gotta turn it back on. See if we're still alive. Alright, turn it back on. Okay, TV, just turn the TV back on. Reinstalls in Windows. Restores my displays. Alright, it still says I'm here, so dropped frames, live for 31 minutes. Where's my live control room? Wait for that to show up. Okay, so it didn't kill the stream, even though I technically uninstalled and reinstalled a display. Yeah. So that's the thing. Now, just turn it right back on because the TV's warmed up already. We're talking like it's the 60s or the 70s or something. My dad is familiar with this sort of stuff, where you got to let the TV warm up. So, in other words, I have to think about this Samsung flat panel that's been running great for the last 10 plus years, the way my dad would have thought about a vacuum tube television from when he was growing up, because you had to let the tubes warm up. So, probably capacitors, but if I recap this television, I'm polishing a turd, because this is an old school cold cathode backlight, not even what the most current stuff is. 100 watts minimum with the backlight turned all the way down, which equates to how silhouetted I was when I first started streaming. Here we are with backlight 0, and the only reason I'm lit up is because I'm looking at Newegg. Get rid of Newegg, and I become a man of the darkness very, very quickly. I think I've watt metered this thing at full blast, which is what it's back to right now. So setting it to 10 in OBS sets it up like this. And plus, the screen's pretty dim through the glasses anyway, so it's just sort of thing where it allows me to use the television as a stage light, so to speak, or have it be like looking at a bright screen and not like there's this bright thing off in the corner that's constantly going into the side of your eye when you're trying to play video games, you're trying to stream, you're trying to do anything. Not the best thing in the world when you need some concentration. But there you go. So, let's see. Well, I suppose I should probably poke around on Amazon or something, because it looks as though Newegg electronics are more of an expansion category anyways. Could probably go to Best Buy or something, but let's look at the 800-pound gorilla of Amazon. Is he going to try and sign me in? Yeah, this is supposed to be a blank browser. So, Samsung TV. Not that I'd really want to buy a TV from Amazon. Probably more likely to go to Walmart and get something. But the other thing I have to remember is I have to look at the refresh rate. I know TVs have gaming mode and monitors have gaming mode, but I've used the gaming mode in some of the newer monitors and it turns the screen yellow. So it's not really doing what I want it to do when I put it, even this thing when I put it in gaming mode. So, but yeah, needing to go 4K, because that's basically what's sold these days. Now we got to figure that part out. Hardware, gaming in 4K, upscale from 1080, downscale, to 1080 to stream. That probably looks better than the other way around. So, yuck. Coalesced sugar from the bottom of the drink. Yuck. That's better. Samsung 43-inch 4K Ultra Smart HD 2020 model bundle with support extension for $400. Crystal UHD for a 43-inch television. Probably going to bust out the measuring tape and see what I'd have to move where to get it to fit with this desk. This desk has a 37, which when you bring the bezels back in, probably puts it at around 40-ish. I think I want to try and squeeze in a 43. Or maybe go smaller, if I could. Could probably just go to 32-inch and just call it a day. Everything will fit better because I'm dropping a screen size. The thing is, though, one of the things I've run into using a 37-inch TV as a gaming screen, losing track of my cursor in World of Warcraft. Yeah, how many times I've been looking like, where'd the cursor go? Things like that, because I was looking at one part of the screen and my mouse was somewhere else. That really gets wild with this sort of thing. Can I get the technical specifications? Do I have to? Well, why don't we just take the UN43 TU7000FXZA, whatever, and just run it through Bing, which will probably send me to sends me to Best Buy first. 43-inch class Crystal HD UHD 4K Smart TV. The ultra-fast Crystal processor 4K transforms everything you watch into stunning 4K. Does that mean there's an upscaler? Yeah, well, that's the thing. Upscale, downscale, how do we run the games? That's my question. So I can actually test that by super scaling on this screen and seeing what frame rates I get in ESO. I think I can do 4K 60. I think I do 4K 60 with a 2060. The issue here is that having to actually get a decent graphics card as opposed to the 60 model. The other side of the story is power efficiency. Desktops are not good at it by default. So what I'm looking for is something that cranks up when I need it and then drops down. And then drops down when I'm just browsing the web like this. And that'll get better once I get rid of the moving parts and go SSD for everything, which I don't have yet. Let's see. Clean cable solution knows when you're ready to play. I want the technical specifications on this television. Technical specs. I'm looking for things like the draw times and stuff like that. This is a 5 millisecond panel, which was being sold at a time when gaming screens were being sold between 8 and 2. And 2 is usually interpolated with a processor. See here. I don't want to see the reviews. I want to see the tech specifications. Smart TV, see all specs. Gotta click see all. Okay. 42.5 inches measured diagonally. Pure color. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I might need to download manuals for this sort of thing. See here. Half a watt standby power consumption. I think that's better than what this thing has. The other thing that would be good, there was never a firmware update for this television. So if I shut everything off, I have to turn the TV off. Otherwise it says no signal and sucks 100 watts, even when it's not showing anything on the screen. So it's just stupid. When I picked up this TV in 2008, using a television as a computer screen was still pretty new. Wasn't like today where the displays have all kind of melded together. Same thing on the audio side as well, with not needing to use computer speakers to run audio from your computer. That's the other part I got to figure out. I'm probably going to have to download manuals because I want to read the really, really, really nerd specs, not the stuff that is used for this. So let's just support here, get a manual for it. User manual. Let's go into some PDF somewhere. So the other part of this is audio. The audio for my system is done up by an Onkyo home theater receiver that has absolutely nothing wrong with it. Zilch. No problems related to capacitors. No problems related to anything. But definitely problems related to it's from the late 2000s, just like my TV is. Maybe a very beginning of the 2010s. It is made for 1080p. It's not going to handle 4K. I think what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try and set that up as a 1080p display, quote unquote, and then see if I can mirror it. See if I can get the system to treat it like a 1080 monitor. Because literally all I'm doing is I'm sending... So first off, everything that hooks up to it does not do 4K. So the PS3 for Blu-ray only does 1080. I do not have 4K Blu-ray of any sort. I don't know if I even want to do 4K Blu-ray. So The Onkyo box does 1080p only, I think. I think it'll glitch out if I try putting 4K through it. So I want to try and trick the system into treating it like a 1080p monitor. Then just run the audio through it. And everything that would send video to my screen to be upscaled is 1080 only. So the Wii U, and even if I got the 4K Switch, I would run it in 1080 60 probably, because I would rather have smooth 60 frames per second, because I'm a PC gamer, with, say, Mario games, not exactly much for graphical fidelity now, a cartoon Mario jumping around everywhere, than to have 4K. If I play Breath of the Wild in 60 FPS, I'll probably have more fun with 60 FPS than 4K Breath of the Wild. All right, Samsung e-manual. We're looking for the nerd stuff. Let's change it back to Microsoft Edge. Contents. A little off center. Picture quality, troubleshooting, FAQs, It's also going to be a smart TV. I'm not really fond of the idea of a television that's hackable. So, connecting to the internet, I don't need to run apps on a TV. That's what the computer's for. Image on your TV may differ, Each cable simultaneously transmits digital video signals, ties input and output ports. Yeah, I know what cables are, and I know what composite is. Why is composite even still mentioned in here? Samsung, what are you doing? Source screen, You can edit everything. Nice display and everything. And this was what? $400? $407.99. $407.99. Okay, I'm done with Amazon. We'll just look at this thing. This does not support HDMI, Ethernet. Use a cable shorter than 10 feet for the best viewing quality. Yeah, cable length's nothing. I should probably get the measuring tape to measure out the cable going to the computer. Maybe see. Oh, I think I need a 6 foot anyways. I think I need a 6 foot because 3 foot is a little too long. It's not just about the length to the computer. It's also about being able to pull the computer out. Something I got to go back and rewire anyways. Put all the slack over by the computer for so that way I can pull the computer out without pulling on any ports on the motherboard. Leave the slack hanging down behind that part of the desk behind where the camera is. Connection notes for computers. Smart 5 gigahertz, blah, 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 blah. Using the universal remote, AnyNet, You can even use a controller, a gaming controller with Bluetooth to control the TV. On-screen virtual keyboards, Now here's all the stuff they sell the TV with. Oh, apps. Woo! No thanks. A hackable TV is something I'm not very fond of. See here. Remote PC using Office 365 right on your TV. Don't need this. But it's all you can get these days. See, yep. We need to go down to the end. Down where there's like everything in grids or something, if that's even a thing. Oh, look, Bixby. See. This doesn't actually have those. This doesn't have the specifications like the other one did, where I can get the millisecond draw time, things like that. Because that's really what I'm looking for. Because that's the fundamental difference between a television and a monitor. And actually, I don't even need sound out of this thing. When have I ever needed the built-in speakers or anything? The things you got to do here. Fastest delivery. Arrives Sunday, January 24th. How the heck do you know that, Amazon, when I'm not even signed in? I don't even know where this is coming from. Is that like anywhere in the country? Because you know I'm United States because of my ISP. Haven't even signed in yet. Spare me the marketing, Amazon. So, let's go look at monitors. Newegg. So here's the thing. It might be the case that I should consider a monitor instead, but that kind of caps at 32 as well. Monitors would actually be better for primarily gaming because I don't need a tuner, and I don't really need a tuner. So, components. Storage devices, CPUs, processors, computer cases, fans, BCs, break. We'll actually have to punch it into the search box. Get back in your game, Newegg. what's it considered an input device? Computer systems, monitors, gaming monitors. Let's just do monitors in general. LCD, LED. Let's see, get to around 40-ish. Ooh, there is 39. Come on. 39. Oh, there's 20 40-inch gaming monitors, and they all cost $1,000. NEC V404, 40-inch large screen, 4001 DVI HDMI DisplayPort LED LCD monitor with speakers, $891. I'm not trying to relive the wonderful world of 2008. Thank you very much. Is this even a... Is that all it makes? It's sold by a third party as well. Yeah. Philips. 40-inch, 3 millisecond, 4K UHD, large format monitor VA panel with built-in speakers. $1,890. Ships from South Korea. Most customers receive within 5 to 33 days. Sold and shipped by DreamWorld, third party. No thanks. So there we go. Wait. What was that again? This is under LCD LED. Let's look up gaming monitors then. Get up, see, do they even get that high? Larger than 32 inches. This is not looking good. Again, Newegg, loading in chunks. Why? 38-inch, 3 of them. $1,000 for those curved things you see all these people using. Yeah, no. LG, da-da-da-da-da-da. So here's the thing. Part of the multimedia aspect of my setup is that I can watch movies on this as well. And also, I can back away to the couch and things like that. So this is part of the reason why I'm running this TV into the ground. Because another thing I have to consider is getting speaker stands for the speakers, get these off of my desk. And even the desk itself is sus at this point. Because here's the thing. The project area is the project area back there with basically a kitchen table. This place is too small to actually have a dining area. So, I mean, unless I tore all this down, put the living room over where the project area is, or set up a dining table over there, or put it over here. When I first moved to this house, the lady that showed me the house said that this specific area where I am right now is the dining area where I'd want to put the table, and then have the TV over there, and like a couch or something, and then eat over here. Needless to say, considering this room and the room next to it with the knocked out wall, which is what that is you see on the ceiling up there, this room and the room next to it with a knocked out wall is smaller than the loft I used to have at the apartment that I came to this place from. So this place is basically a double wide trailer, but it actually has a foundation because it's a house. It's a rarity here in New England. A lot of places like this are either pre-built, like those snap-together houses that arrive on a bunch of oversized load trucks, or they're zoned commercial for small businesses because nobody wants to live in a house this small. And that's why houses here in the Northeast always cost like $200,000, $150,000. Because for some reason, I mean, some of it's because of the winter. You want to have something that can deal with snow, whereas down in like Florida or something, there's like dirt on the bottom and who cares, So I just don't know what the deal is with real estate here in the Northeast. We got all these baby boomer houses with like 3 bedrooms and everything, and everybody's like, if you have kids, that's fine. But what this means is that everybody who isn't raising a bunch of kids is basically have landlords, be at the mercy of landlords in apartments and things like that, where they need more money to go out with their drinking buddies, so they raise the rent or something like that. Just seriously. 1K for a 40-inch, yeah, well, that's because it's a monitor. It's a monitor with probably a 2 millisecond draw time. But I don't play very fast games, that's the thing. Could just turn on gaming mode on a TV. So, what I find interesting, though, is that on monitor in the project area looks pretty nice. So, Walmart can find a way to get this right. And that's probably what I should be looking at right now, is walmart.com. Because if, say, UPS or those people that drive those dumb blue vans for Amazon had to chase down so many shipments from them, I'm not so sure that I can trust Amazon Prime with a television. I'm sorry. So, Yugi TV has gone offline, exiting host mode. What? Oh, because in OBS I'm still set up for Twitch. So any alerts that I see for YouTube, I'm going to miss. See, not even signed in. Walmart is triangulating my location. No thanks. Yeah, not even signed in. It's using location type stuff. I thought I had that barred. I don't even have a profile on here. Screw you, Walmart. I'll take this to the darn phone because I might as well. Okay, skip Walmart then. Heck with it. Walmart Supercenter. Yeah, it's this machine is still sending location data somehow, or it's stored from when I had it turned on earlier. And it's off too, substantially. It thinks I'm like 4 towns away half the time. Who comes up with this technology? Well, I'm going to look at that stuff offline because here's the thing. For stuff like this, you want to do a lot of homework because you consider I got 12 years out of this television. We are talking very, very serious centerpiece of everything. And I spent the money to buy a real brand instead of getting cheap Vizio or whatever. My dad's known some people who've had TVs die in a year with the budget brands. So, and I've seen on the monitor side, cheap Acers not make it a year, while I have a Samsung last like 10 years. The last Samsung monitor that I had before this was the square one that I used in 06, 07, 08. And that only died because that died of capacitor plague in 2016 when the caps were bursting. Could have recapped it, but not even, it wasn't even a widescreen monitor. So that was from 2006. And I got 10 years out of that. This thing got 12 years. So we're talking something that's going to be around for a while. I want it right. So right now, this thing does work still. It just takes 7 or 8 tries to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to load up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get cables that are the latest HDMI and whatnot. So in case there's an issue with the communications because the cable's too old. Shouldn't be, though. But the thing is, the last time I got cables, they're from Monoprice. And this was years ago. So get with the latest, see what they have for the latest HDMIs. Monoprice built themselves off of cables and stuff, off of wholesale cables. 8K series ultra speed HDMI. Complies with all features of the HDMI 2.1 spec, 48 gigs per second, 8K 60 hertz. Not even close to 8K, but $19 a cable. So that's the thing. I mean, I'm not doing 8K, and you know, who cares? So let's see, cables, HDMI. Can I get one that's for 4K? I don't necessarily need to be 8K. 4K slim certified premium high-speed HDMI, 18 gigabits per second for 4K, 854 cable. Okay. Then there's a 6-foot one. That's not the itty-bitty version. I'd rather have one with some actual insulation. $7 a cable. Reliably distribute 4K 60. The TVs that are out there are 4K 120. Oh, maybe I have to look at an 8K cable. Holy crap. What did I... Through ferrite cores help protect blah, blah, blah. But it is a digital signal. Yeah. This is the stupid little things you got to watch out for. This is rated for 4K 60. The TVs are all 4K 120 minimum, if they're not pushing any further. So, $8 cables. 18 gigabits per second. That's for what? Guaranteed to work with all modern 4K equipment. Yeah, but if I'm doing 4K 120... Multi-view feature I found newer Samsung, LG, Does it say what it's made for? It says it's made for all 4K. 32 audio channels, too, while we're at it. No, it does not. 60 hertz. No, monoprice cable, 60 hertz. Nope. 4K 60. The TVs are all 4K 120. Unless it's an image processor that I'm seeing. I just wander into Walmart and come out with a 4K 120 TV anytime I want. So let's see here. 8K it is. 8K 60. Ah, that's the selling point here. The monoprice, no logo, 8K ultra speed HDMI for $12 a cable with a 6-footer. Supports 8K 60, 4K 120 hertz resolution. 48K. Ah, okay. So this is a shorter one, right? The 6-footer? Well, it comes in 1/2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I can measure it out with the measuring tape. All right, we'll go with that. We'll go with 8K cables at shorter lengths. See what that does. And then we'll have the cables ready for when this TV finishes burning out. First, we'll see if the better cables fix everything. If it does, we'll just keep running the TV into the ground. But I think it's specific to power and when the TV's cold, because it hasn't warmed up yet. These are the exact same symptoms that I had with the Silver Bullet before it died of capacitor plague. So, you'd start the computer and it'd be like an old cold-blooded carburetor car. So, you'd start up the computer and it would take several tries before it would boot without crashing, just like warming up an old carburetor car, where you had to warm up the engine or it would stall the minute you put it in gear. So, when I start seeing this with electronics, I know something's wrong. And considering this thing will screech, I think it'll screech too, even if I turn off the audio. Let's do that right now. I don't need to hear it go doo-doo-doo every time I start it up. So, I'll bet it'll still screech though. Custom, equalizer, auto volume, TV speaker. Let's turn off the TV speaker so it no longer makes any noise. Off. So, we just turned off the TV speaker on this. I bet it still screeches when the screen glitches out. It always glitches out and turns green and gets all screwed up, and then it'll screech over the audio track when Windows displays for the first time. So, already alcoholed the contacts and the HDMI cables and blew the dust out of the connectors on the TV side. Might have to do it on the graphics card side on the computer as well. Especially when I reseated the graphics card. There's another problem. I think it's because I have 2 bootable drives in this thing where it's crashing every so often whenever I log out of Windows. So again, just what is this, the 90s? Remember when Mac OS was known for being way more stable than Windows because Windows 98 would crash for no reason? That's what this feels like. And this is Windows 10 we're talking about. Ever since I upgraded to SSD that's M2, and it's Samsung brand, not an off-brand, could redo the computer yet again from scratch. See if that does. The message that I'm getting points to it being an issue with the driver. So it could be the case I just have some rotten NVIDIA drivers or have to run the destroyer to take everything out and then reinstall the driver. There's probably bits and pieces of driver on multiple drives because I haven't nuked the old drive yet, which I think I can do now. Everything I wanted to recover from it is already transferred over. So now we can get some more space for games off of the old system drive, put Microsoft Flight Simulator on there, all 150 gigs of it. Then I have a couple hundred more to install some more games on that I want to run faster. Or get that AMD Ryzen thing where it uses your solid state up against your hard drives to make an SSHD out of everything and make a disk array. Who knows? Regardless, I have a lot of things to figure out for 2021. It's 4:11 at the Geek House. I think I'm going to call it early, get some more sleep, actually enjoy the day off by getting up during daylight hours and doing something constructive. So, basically the end of the vacation with a little work break in the middle, which counts as kind of a workout. Feel better anyways after sitting around last week. But, so what do we have? We have music permissions. See if anybody still actually owns the rights to their music after they submit it to the YTAL. Because with everybody bouncing between YouTube and Twitch, I've even heard Twitch intros with YTAL songs in them. So, it's the sort of thing where Ginny's had that happen. A couple of the things that were submitted to her when she wanted a new stream intro, I recognize the music as YTAL music. So, if there's a rights issue with using YTAL music off of YouTube, we'll see it from some of these streamers who don't know. They don't know, what music is made for what and things like that. So we have to figure that part out. We have that. We have the asset permissions for music. We have stuff in general around the house. What goes to YouTube? What goes to Twitch? We have slobs versus regular OBS. Do I want to use slobs for YouTube streaming and regular OBS for Twitch and then just open different programs to change platforms? Yeah, that. The big thing, though, is the TV. Especially when you consider Other than this one problem, there is no problem with this TV. Nothing. Works perfectly like the day I got it. Hasn't fuzzed out. The color hasn't screwed up. Just seems like a good old-fashioned case of dried up capacitors. So, or maybe some of them are bursting. Who knows? The thing hasn't died yet, and we got a lot of things to read. So even come up with something. I want it to be major brand, probably 40 inches or so. If it's any bigger, we're looking at a setup where I may have to get rid of the desk. This desk I have is an Interroyal 1980s, built very well here in America. Hasn't bowed or anything, but it's not necessarily the setup I need to have these days. I have drawers that I basically never use. They're basically storage. There's stuff in there that's been in there for years. Desks, these days are overglorified tables, and they can get rolling storage to have drawers. So you don't necessarily need to have a desk anymore, and it makes it lighter when you move. So, because you can move everything one thing at a time. So, you have that piece to figure out. Technimobili is the brand I'm looking at for furniture in order to make it to where if the landlord gives me a hard time, I just leave, and it's very easy to move because all my stuff is light. Thinking of getting rid of this plaid sofa as well. Might get rid of some of the old computers too. They serve no purpose except once in a while, does this processor still work? But even in the case of wondering whether a Core 2 Quad works or not, what is the let's take the Q9400 for example. Q9400 versus Ryzen 3. Get some cheap Ryzen 3 into the mix. You're talking some cheap Ryzen 3 3200G is 43% faster on average than a Core 2 Quad Q9400. What's one of the cheapest processors that we can get these days? Scroll to the bottom. Oh no, hey, there's Intel Atoms in there. Okay, how about what's the cheapest Ryzen? Let's see. Mana, of course. User benchmark. Type Ryzen. Cheapest Ryzen is probably a Ryzen 3. Let's try Ryzen 3 3200U. That goes for what? 6% though, the Core 2 Quad. That's a laptop processor. Ryzen 3 How about the Ryzen 3 1200 for $150? Yeah. The Ryzen 3 1200 average somewhat retail price, $146 versus $170 on the second-hand market for a Yorkfield Core 2 Quad. 27% faster on average. So, you go to all the trouble to fix up an old system, and the components are inefficient, things like that. What's the cheapest Ryzen nowadays? So, say if I want to get in on the 7 watts thing, or 14 watts even. Now, Newegg's taking too long to load again. Ryzen 3. Cheap Ryzens. The absolute cheapest Ryzen is what? We'll go 3rd generation. Ryzen 3. Target price is $170 for the Yorkfield. For $10 more, you get a Ryzen 3 3100. 65 watt processor. Compare it up to the 3100. %56 faster. Lower TDP as well. Way newer. So that's really the thing. Other than making YouTube videos like, Core 2 Quad in 2021, these systems are a waste. Waste of energy, waste of everything. It's just one of those situations where I don't want to throw the thing out because it still works. But yeah, double the single core performance for that Ryzen 3 versus the Core 2 Quad Q9400. So yeah, it's something to hook up once in a while, see if it still works. That's the extent of it, though. So there we go. Plenty of things to figure out. The big one's the TV, though. The TV, what happens with everything, where I stream, if I stream, videos, streams, stuff from streams, what to do about the tech video problems, specifically the crowd, which I think a couple of people have come out and they've said that they've been supportive of me. That's cool. So there's a couple of good folks in the crowd. I think it's largely the mainstream tech audience on YouTube that finds the videos through the algorithm and then doesn't subscribe. Because, let's go to the analytics. Let me go to my analytics here. This is something I got to talk about with the Twitch folks, about this whole thing with collabs and talking about the shortcomings of streaming. We talked about the ratio of concurrent viewers versus the size of your followers. Number one, Twitch has a bot problem, so that might be a little high. Secondly, I don't think in any world all of your views come from subs or followers or something. Let me just bring up mine here. Audience, I think it's on the audience tab in YouTube. 71.5% of the watch time that I get is from people that are not subscribed to the channel. That's the algorithm crowd. So on the tech side of things, almost 3/4 randos coming and going because of search results. These are the people that sync the tech videos probably more than anybody else who actually trolls me about it. I'm not turning the ad blocker off. I'm the ad block. I get that. I see that in comment sections, particularly on other people's channels. So the big issue with that is that you know that these ideas are floating around out there. Now let's go check the numbers. You have Firefox open here. Let me actually look at a few things. Bookmarks. Ad blocker ratios. Who's getting them? We know there is one single tech video that's doing well. Last 28 days. Forza Horizon 4 no graphics card is in terrible, terrible shape. It's just viral, so people are passing it around. Why don't we add impressions to this? Guarantee you the impressions are not the highest. Yeah, oh yeah. No, the dryer video still is ahead of it. There's something else too we got to keep an eye on though with that sort of thing. But let's check the ratios. No, I'm looking at the wrong column. No. The impressions 3312 versus washer video 4889. Foreman grills nearly 10,000 impressions. And first impressions the Magic Chef portable dryer 8,200. So no, not even close. No. This is people that's passing this video around, and that's the thing. YouTube systems are not doing a lot of. I'll just give you an idea. Some of my streams are doing better impressions wise. Just people aren't clicking on them. My question is though, before I get into the whole clickbait games, which I know YouTube is trying to destroy through technology, my question is, these people that aren't clicking on my videos out of these randos out there, are they not clicking because there's 20 videos in a related tab and I'm number 20 and they have to scroll to find me? So in nearly all cases, they'll click something towards the top. So that's the thing. It's really stupid that there are commentators out there that are pointing the cannon at you people way too much. There are more than enough technical things that can throw all this off. But let's just set everything here. So let's do unique viewers. I think will turn purple, and then estimated monetized playbacks. I want green. Ratios. Sort by views. I can't do that without putting them in the chart. So Geek House Laundry is 630 out of 486. Now, Windows 8 versus the Dell Source, 106 out of 279 for monetized playbacks versus unique viewers. The best tech video. Let's go with the calculator open, which will probably pop it up on the screen again. Is it back? No, I'm on the regular one. Let's see here. Windows 8 versus the Dell-osaurus. Last 28 days, 106 monetized playbacks with an audience of 279 people. Times 100. 37.99% monetization ratio. Big surprise, only 1,800 impressions when the best video on the channel is at nearly 10,000. That's the algorithms not passing a video around because it gets ad blocked too much. The best of the tech videos is one of the speaker videos. 193 out of 253, 76%. So, and that's the best tech video, the one that I've seen towards the top actually making some decent money. And by decent money, I mean not pennies, but more like dimes and quarters. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in there. So, Sloppy Speaker Showdown, 48 out of 122. Only 839 impressions in 28 days. Smoked by, yeah. There's a definite relation between, inverse, mind you, between the impressions and whether or not it's making money. YouTube at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Money, 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 money. It's all the brass cares about, huh? Now, this wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that, as we've seen from the numbers over and over and over again, this problem with other people's behavior with ad blockers is systemically dumped on the creators. So it depends on the audience that you attract. So the people that aren't into technology, who are looking at the washer and dryer video, or why it does so well. All these home appliance videos with a more mainstream audience, that's why these videos make the most money. And YouTube passes them around the most. Different groups of people. But then I could probably find it very, very quickly. Microsoft Edge. YouTube comments ad blockers. Or just ad blocker. I'm looking for results from youtube.com. Probably Google will be better for that instead of Bing. I'm still playing in Microsoft Edge, the browser that I routinely blank out. Google recommends using Chrome. No, we're not switching to Chrome for this. So let's do YouTube comments ad blocker. See what kind of nasty stuff pops up in these results. So they got ad block plus. YouTube not working. It's probably your ad blocker. July 15th, 2020. Load this and mute the audio.
Need a professional
website? Go to Wix. Well, we supported this creator by letting this play. Let's see. I thought you were going to present a solution. I installed the ad blocker on Safari, and now it's just a black screen. Very annoying seeing 2 ads to begin a video and about 3 during the video. Infuriates me every time. There's too many ads, especially on YouTubers, to get demonetized, which is unfair. See here. These people are actually, why you disable the ad block? If you didn't have the ads, be gone. You didn't even need to watch this stupid video. Yeah, see, this is what you run into when you go looking for discussions about ad blockers on YouTube. Always people blowing up about it and typing in all caps. No real solution presented. Waste of video and time. You see all the people flipping out about it. These are the people that are lurking on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people that will sync your channel and not bat an eye. These are the randos that will show up in the algorithm audience, not your fans who understand this and do the right thing. You'll see more of this the more you go looking for this. That's why, especially on tech videos, that's why I know the nasty attitudes are out there. The question is who's doing that. So that's one of the things to figure out, what to do about all of this. Because if you attract the wrong people who start watching your every upload, they start syncing your every upload if they're doing this stuff. That's what I ran into. And so the attrition from 2020 and the syncing of the sub numbers and things like that, that is something that I wanted to see which groups left and which groups didn't. So that's a major thing here. And what all of this gets away from is this whole idea of just being able to do what you want on YouTube, because that's not the case. You don't want to feel like you're wasting your time, and you don't want some automated system to sync what it is that you do because of these things that I've been watching in the numbers for years. So let's see. Lots to figure out then. In terms of what to do with this stream, we'll let it process and then bring it back. The folks that are here live, thanks for stopping by. You folks get to see this long before everyone else. There's something to be said for there being a cooldown period from when a stream's live to when a stream becomes a video. It really helps to get the gears turning in this respect. We'll figure it out. So what's next? Some stuff we'll talk on Twitch about the remaining issues related to some of those numbers I threw around earlier. And afterwards, we've got some things to figure out with the MP4 fiasco. How we're going to make the thing for introducing the channel in 2020. So I'm waiting to hear back from Tracktribe, which is a YTAL org similar to Jingle Punks. I gotta see if I get a response on the copyright issue from them. My question now, with what Slink responded to me with, is does YouTube force artists to give up the copyrights when submitting to the YTAL? that there's nothing they can do about it, which means YouTube is now the other party when people are taking the tracks and falsely plagiarizing them and resubmitting them to Content ID under different metadata. The latest of which, we should probably sound the alarm on this, is sadly the theme I used to use on all these streams. Let me just load up my load up the blog, multimediajay.wordpress.com. I have this in the drop-down menu in quotes, so it's close to the top. So, post topics, MultimediaJay's list of compromised YouTube audio library songs. One of my favorite Slink songs on the YTAL. It's called Knuckles. It's being misrepresented as Knuckles by Hax Hijizi? I don't even know. But the fun part is that the old Cardinal Sounds, as it was called, tracks where this happened to some Silent Partner songs from years ago, those links have all broken. So maybe that was addressed. Who knows? But now Slink, of all people. Yeah. But the thing is, if YouTube forces artists to give up their rights when submitting to the YTAL, YouTube now becomes the party that needs to own this. When people are abusing the systems by resubmitting YTAL tracks with different metadata into Content ID and trying to claim videos. This makes it 100% a YouTube problem. Because the artists, once they send it in there, it's over. So if they give up all rights, including copyright, then YouTube's the party that needs to deal with this. It's their own systems getting abused. But I want to see that. I want to see this confirmed from some other artists that I'm talking about with permissions on YouTube versus Twitch before I go really acting on this. We'll see what happens at Tracktribe. They're an org. Actually, tracktribe.com. They have a website and everything. They recently submitted to the YTAL. I noticed some of the tracks they have sounded very much like something I've heard before, but it's actually a trademark. Music Everywhere, Tracktribe. Founded by lifelong friends, Tracktribe is a collective of artists. We provide creative services and high-quality music for creators, media companies, and fans. We are committed to making a positive global impact by empowering creative communities and supporting social causes. So some of the names I recognize: Otis McDonald for his hip-hop beats. Gunnar Olsen has done some pretty interesting tracks, including the robot track I used in the video making fun of what was it? Ryzen. All those Ryzen videos when people were speculating before the Ryzen came out. Oscar Albus Rodriguez. Oh, Albus. Yeah, that's the name he went by on there. And Bryce Goggin. Oh, the link goes to his LinkedIn. Let's see. Let's see here. Goes to his LinkedIn. I don't want to sign to LinkedIn here. Artists. Otis McDonald, Gunnar Olsen, Silent Partner. When YouTube reached out to producer Bryce Goggin, asking if he could make over 400 songs for their audio library, his answer was simple: yes. Goggin, who's worked with the likes of Fish, Sean Lennon, Spacehog, and Pavement, reached out to a close circle of session musicians and friends to help take on the mighty endeavor. He assembled a modern-day wrecking crew, and the team worked daily for 6 months to create the beginning of an audio library that YouTube would provide free for their users. Royalty-free music covering multiple genres with one goal: music with integrity, not just as background filler. The name Silent Partner, so maybe that was a collective too. The name Silent Partner was a nod to the role the music would have in the YouTube creators' content. Suddenly the music Goggin and his team made, okay, we'll take the tweet down, was being used in millions of videos and heard by billions. Okay, that's something I was wrong about. I thought it was just a stage name that he was using, because I hadn't gotten around to reading this biography yet. All right, let's see here. We'll take that out. Yeah, we'll take that out. It wasn't just him, it's his team. And a good leader, delete, gone. A good leader always gives his team credit. By the way, if you ever work for somebody who takes credit for your hard work, get out of there. You can't trust these people, and quite frankly, they don't deserve to have anyone good working for them. Let them churn and turn until they go out of business. No quarter. The minute you work for some coward blubber spine who takes credit for your hard work, you're working for the wrong person. The end. See here. Speaking from experience. Yeah, accidents will happen by Silent Partner. This will sound familiar. Ouch. And I'm wearing headphones, and that was just way too loud. Microsoft Edge down to 8%. Yep, that's Accidents Will Happen by Silent Partner. Now part of Tracktribe. It's good, though, because this gives me a contact for rights issues, because a lot of the tracks that were getting misused were Silent Partner songs from 2014. It's like a track of Song Egg Collection Volume 1 by Magnetic Peaks. Is that a band or something? I don't know. There's also Harris Heller in the Stream Beats, folks. Gotta learn how to use that. Stream Beats. The problem I have with Stream Beats, streambeats.com. The problem I have with Stream Beats, and to a lesser extent Monster Cat, how it works. Let's see. No DMCA, no demonetization, no monthly fees. Usage. Sync use license. What? Peace of mind, enough legal license for you to download it here. This is Harris Heller's project. But the problem I have with Stream Beats is that if everybody uses it, then see. Yep. He misspelled demonetization too. That's why Stream Beats exists. So how do you run it? Do you hit listen now? Lo-fi and it's MP3s. You just download stuff. I'm gonna check this out then, because I need platform neutral music if I want to pass stuff between YouTube and Twitch, especially as uploads. So I thought I saw him talking about running this stuff on Spotify. Yeah, you can play it on Spotify or Apple Music. Yeah, EDM on Apple Music and EDM on Spotify. Might be time to create a Spotify account and play Stream Beats on it. Especially if that helps him out as a creator by, giving him some plays and things like that. But yeah, Stream Beats. The one concern I have about Stream Beats is when all the streamers start using it and suddenly everybody recognizes the music. That's one of the things I've done on the YouTube audio library is I constantly am looking for songs, and I want to play stuff before everybody starts playing them. There are some tracks from about 2014, 2015-ish that a lot of people are using in their YouTube videos. I recognize them, but I was playing them long before they were. So it's interesting when you're like, oh yeah, there's a bazillion videos that have this and stuff like that. So yeah, it's one of those things. But I need some platform neutral music, and the only one I have right now is NCS. Could pay for the Monster Cat service, which gives you the ability to whitelist your own content for DMCA as well on your own systems. But I'm going to check out what Harris has been up to. I may just switch to all Stream Beats. Question is, I have the opposite question for Harris Heller. Stream Beats in YouTube videos, if they're made for streamers first. But what I'm looking for is a source of music that is good and platform neutral. So if I want to take a YouTube video to Twitch and back, we can do that. Right now, there's kind of it's just like with the record companies, there's kind of this unwritten thing where, because Twitch is way smaller than YouTube, and many times YouTube videos get exposure and whatnot by being played on Twitch streams, that's where the React culture comes from on Twitch. So, yeah, but I don't want to be running off of assumptions for this sort of thing. From the beginning, as part of understanding presentations, I've emphasized asset permissions and taken hits for it. When other people were using copyrighted music in their YouTube videos and getting lots of views, there's one guy, Big Al 2K6, his vlogs open with the Pizza Power theme from the Ninja Turtles. That's the kind of stuff. I was the one over there using royalty-free tracks, buying the stuff to the tune of sometimes $50 a song for a main theme that I would use for the MultimediaJay vlog or something. So, that was in my younger years. So, asset permissions should be the sort of thing that I am very explicit about. Plus, it's lazy to use commercial music because you can't be bothered to put in the time to do the work to find good sounding stuff that's rights cleared to use. It's more of a sense of accomplishment when you pull something off. You play a track from the YTAL or something. And so many people are asking you in the comments, what song is that you play at XYZ timestamp? That you have to start running credits in your videos like a TV show, because everybody's asking you again and again and again in the comments, what song was that? What song was that? What song was that? So it's great. It's a great sense of accomplishment instead of I'm playing the latest What's someone popular right now? I don't listen to pop fluff on the radio, so Kanye West, the guy that got Jake and Bake in trouble. Oh, what's the latest Kanye West song? Yeah, that's just lazy. Yeah, I know it's commercial music, but our relations to commercial music need to change as content creators. It's not like it was when we were kids. But we'll save that for another discussion. Sunrise approaches here at the Geek House, here in southern New England, and I've got a lot to think about. And I want to actually enjoy the day off instead of doing pseudo work. So, probably do random stuff here and there. Might stream, might not. Might work on videos. The one I actually have to work on, though, is the introduction to the channel. That'll become the new channel trailer. And I'm very seriously thinking, when I hear back from Tracktribe asking about permissions and whatnot with their stuff, I'm very seriously thinking trying to have a silent trailer with just text and montage elements. See if I can do that without saying anything. Or very little. Just like a music montage in a movie. That would be cool. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by. And for those of you folks who are up early instead of being up late, good morning! Soon the sun shall rise, and the non-night owls shall go about their business. So let's call it a morning before they start making noise. Yeah.